We have a very beautiful song to glorify Lord Chaitanya that we already described to you. We'll give a little more description about it, but now you all know at least the refrain anyway. One of these days we'll get it printed out also. Sundara Lala Sachiru Lala Nagata Sri Hari Sundra Lala, Sati Dolala, Nachata, Sri Hari, Kirtan. So we already described to you, Sundar means Bundeshun. And Lala means boy. Boy is, Frala means boy. Belly.
Poor. In German, Junge.
Junge. You said something other.
Puebli.
Puebli. Spanish for village, we say pueblo. So pueblo. So I have to make a joke, then I can remember the words. In Portuguese, what do you say? Pueblo also?
Menino.
Huh?
Menino.
No, for pueblo, for
Yeah.
village.
Ah, povo.
Huh?
Povo.
Povo, almost same. Close. Puebli. Wunderschön Puebli. And he was the son of Sachi Devi, so we call him Sachi Nandan or Sachi Dulala. And he appeared under a neem tree, so his name was Nimai, and his father's name was Jagannath Mishra, so he's Nimai Pandit. Now he appeared on the Falgun Purnima. That nowadays we call Gaur Purnima, it's also known as Holy Purnima. But 525 years ago, on that particular Falgun Purnima, there was moon eclipse. Now why on the appearance of Mahaprabhu was there a moon eclipse? Because especially in Bengal, when there's moon eclipse, then everyone will go to the bank of the Ganga and they will take bath and they will chant very loudly, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So just when the whole land was roaring with the holy name of Krishna, at that time, Nimai made his appearance, just to give some indication what is his future mission. Chanting the holy name. But on one recording, Prabhupada explains there's other reason why there was moon eclipse. Because we told last night, Lord Chaitanya's another name is Gaur Sundar. His another name is Gaura Chandra. Now what do we call the moon in Sanskrit?
Chandra.
Chandra. What do we say in Swiss?
Mond.
Huh?
Moon.
Moon.
Monde.
Munde.
Monde.
Munde.
Oh, Monde.
There's no
Monday. Monday. All right. Monday. All right. Monday. Monday. So anyway, in Sanskrit it's called Chandra. So Srila Prabhupada explained that ordinary Chandra was thinking, there was such a beautiful Gaura Chandra's appearing, then what is the use of this ordinary Chandra? So he hid his face. What is the use of this ordinary Chandra? He hid his face. And actually, Krishna's Kaviraj, he has kept in the beginning of his Chaitanya Charitamrita one very beautiful verse to support this. He said, Akalanka Gaura Chandra Dila Darasana Sakalanka Chandra Ki Prayojana. Akalanka. Kalank means spots. You can also refer to somebody whose character is spotted, not clean. Just like in Javat, Jatila is always calling Radharani Kalakini. That her character is spotted. So Kalank means spotted. But Akalank, spotless. Akalanka Chandra, the spotless moon of Lord Chaitanya has appeared. Akalanka Gaura Chandra Dila Darasana. The spotless moon of Lord Chaitanya has appeared. So Sakalank, Sa means with, Sakalank, spotted. Sakalanka Chandra Ki Priyojana. What is the use of that spotted moon? So even Krishna's Kaviraj is supporting this idea. So therefore on that Gaur Purnima night, 525 years ago, Moon was embarrassed by the beauty of Gaurachandra, so he hid his face. So, Sundar Lala Sachi Dulala Nachata. So we explained yesterday, Nach means to dance. Huh? And Nachata Sri Hari Kirtan Ne. Now in Hindi, instead of having prepositions, we have postpositions. Or in preposition, we have postpositions. Huh? We say he's dancing Sri Hari Kirtan N. Nachata Sri Hari Kirtan Me. He's dancing in the Sri Hari Kirtan. And not that Sriman Mahaprabhu has invented anything. This is actually according to Shastra. Because everything we do has to be based on Shastra. Shastra comes from the word shashan, means to rule, to guide. Shastra is giving us guidance, how to get out of this material world. So we have to follow Shastra. Now we all know that verse, and we quoted the other day. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Vikevalam, Kalu Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gacchunita. But this is from Brihad Naradiya Purana. But some people in India will say, this is from Purana, this is Smriti. We want from Shruti. The Shruti Pramana is more powerful. From Upanishads. So there's one Upanishad called Kaliya Santra Upanishad. And there we find that Narad Muni comes before his father, Lord Brahma. And he says, Pita Shri, I have just returned from the earth. And there, Kali Yuga is about to begin. And all the people will be suffering from this evil effects of Kali Yuga. So Pita Shri, please tell me how they can be freed from the evil effects of Kali. And Lord Brahma, he was very happy. Whoa, that's... we always call the small, or a person younger than us, we call butts. You know the meaning of butts? Just like, remember, there's one Asura, Vatsasura. He was in the form of a calf. So when you see little calf, Vatsalya Ras comes in your heart. So a younger person, we always say butts. In very Sanskritized Hindi, we will say butts. He says, butts. This is a very wonderful question, because this question is meant for the welfare of everyone. Because generally we ask questions for our own selfish interest. It's called swart. Our question is generally for our own selfish interest. Just like if some Sadhu Maharaj comes, then immediately will come, oh Maharaj, all bank is failing, everybody losing their job, please bless me, I don't lose my job. Oh Maharaj, I have daughter, she's 30 years old, still not married, please bless me, I get my daughter married. Oh Maharaj, my son ran away from home, 5 years we haven't seen him, please bless me, my son will come home. For our own selfish interest we ask questions. So Brahma was very surprised. He said, this question is meant for the benefit of all living beings. So this is a very good question. And I will tell you, that in this Kali Yuga, simply by chanting the holy name of Bhagwan Adi Purush Sri Narayan, one can be freed from the evil effects of Kali. Simply by chanting the holy name of Bhagwan Adi Purush Sri Narayan, one can be freed from the effects of Kali. Just like when it's rainy season, nobody can stop the rain from coming. Anybody can stop? In your Switzerland, do you have anybody who can stop the rain? Even our Obama, he cannot stop the rain. But if we take umbrella, rain is going on, but the effect of that rain is not coming on us. We take umbrella. So same way, nobody can stop this Kali Yuga. He's going on, nobody can stop, neither in Vrindavan we have, neither in Switzerland is anybody who can stop Kali Yuga. So we cannot stop Kali Yuga. But if we take this umbrella of the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, then the evil effects of Kali Yuga will not touch us. So then, Narad Muni said, oh Pitashri, that's very wonderful. But tell me one thing, Pitashri. What is the form of that name? What is the form of that name? And Lord Brahma said, but the form of that name is like this. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti sodashanam nam kalikalmasha nashanam. Sodash means 16. These 16 names, 32 syllables, these 16 names, kalikalmasha nashanam. Kalmash means the bad effects, evil. And nashanam, we heard this word before in Bhagavad Gita. Pritranaya sadhanam. Vinashaya. It will destroy. Kali Kalmasha Nashanam. It destroys the evil effects of this Kali. These 16 names. Kali Kalmasha Nashanam. So then Narad Muni said, Pitashri, that's very wonderful, but tell me one thing, Pitashri, what are the rules and regulations? What are the rules and regulations for chanting this holy name? And Lord Brahma said, but there's no type of any rule and regulation whatsoever for chanting this holy name. No type of any rule or regulation whatsoever. Then immediately somebody asked him, why are we following four regular principles, going to Mangalarti, doing all these things? That is another thing. To help you understand, just like one time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had a servant named Gopal. He was a young boy. 8 or 9 years old boy named Gopal. So, he was Mahaprabhu's personal servant. So in the morning, Mahaprabhu would go to the jungle. That's the code word in, I think we have a little code in Europe, they go like this. So, that's the code word in India, because in old days there was no bathroom right inside your bedroom, you had to go outside. For all these things, not inside the house. Those in village, they're very frightened. They're shocked when they come and they see the modern people right next to their bedroom, bathroom is there. All this thing is done outside. So, Mahaprabhu would go to the jungle. Then Gopal, he would sit with a pot of water waiting for Mahaprabhu to return to wash his hands. So now we know little boys, they can ask questions without any inhibition, without any shyness. So when Mahaprabhu returned, then Gopal, he asked, he said, Prabhu, why are you holding your tongue like this? Why do you hold your tongue like this? So Mahaprabhu said, Gopal, I'm going to a very dirty place for some very dirty business. And this tongue, he's always chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. He never stops. So I have to hold him like this. So we know a little boy, without any inhibition, he can ask any question. He said, Prabhu, that time you leave your body, then what will happen? That time you leave your body, what will happen? And Mahaprabhu said, oh, Gopal, you have become my guru. What did he say? You have become my guru. So, in other words, there's no time or place. Anywhere, anytime, any place, even that place, any person, doesn't matter he's Brahman, Vaishya, Sudra, Kshatriya, young, old, man, woman, from foreign country, doesn't matter. No time, place, person, no type of rule or regulation like that. Anywhere, anytime, any place, one can chant the holy name and any person can chant the holy name of Krishna. So from that time, he became known as Gopal Guru. And if you come to Vrindavan, I can show you near Bansivat, there's the Gopal Guru Kunj, where he did his bhajan and Braj. And he has written many books, famous books on bhajan. He became known as Gopal Guru. So in this way, there's no type of rule or regulation, that type. And then Lord Brahma said, But you log on to Google, you do search through the whole Vedas, you will not find better remedy than this for Kali Yuga. And I will tell you, this is the most secret thing of the Vedas. And in these 16 names, all the essence of Vedas is contained. This is the most secret thing. You can search backwards, forwards through the whole Vedas, you won't find anything better than this. And all Vedas is contained just within these 16 names. So this is evidence from Kaliya Santru Upanishad, from the Upanishads, that Mahaprabhu's movement is not some, we call manodharma, just some invented religion. No, it is based on Shastra. So Nachata Sri Hari Kirtan. He's always dancing in this Hari Kirtan, chanting very loudly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, in this way, first we get mercy of Vaishnava, then we get mercy of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, because we cannot go directly. We have to go through Lord Chaitanya, through Lord's associates like this. Just like when I first became a devotee, that I was telling you, we became a devotee in the mountains like this. We were living in the mountains near Boulder, Colorado. And we met the devotees on Janmashtami, day before Janmashtami. So that time they didn't even have a temple. They were staying, just like we have this nice wooden house, but this one was real log cabin, just the real raw logs like this, dovetailed together like that. Real log cabin. Yeah. What do you call it?
Log house.
Log house.
Log.
Log house. Okay. So those three hippies who were renting that cabin, they invited, the devotees had no place to stay, so they invited them to come stay there. So my first Janmashtami was there in 1969. Just a few days after my 20th birthday. Actually, 3rd August is my 62nd birthday. So I'll be able to celebrate it with all of you here. So then we celebrated Janmashtami. Then we were trying to find some place. So I'm telling this story just so you can understand the pioneering days of Krishna consciousness. Now we're enjoying like anything, but those days we were struggling like anything. We had an old, beaten up, broken down 1947 Ford pickup truck. And early in the morning we jump, we cover ourselves with blankets, because early in the morning it was very cold, and we drive right along Rocky Mountains. On this side, the plains of Colorado, just, you can see it rising. It just went flat like this, but rising slowly. Then all of a sudden, boom, the mountains just jump up like these mountains over here. And we were riding right along the edge of the mountains, wrapped up in blankets in the back of this old pickup truck. And we go into Boulder, because we were 17 miles outside of Boulder. What would that be, about 25 kilometers or so. 25, 30 kilometers. So we would go to the park and we'd have our morning program in the park, while a couple of devotees, they would go to all the supermarkets, but they wouldn't go in the front door, they went to the back side. Because we didn't have any money. As now we're having every day nice pasta, lasagna, and so many nice things. Those days we went around the backside, and when the banana has got brown spots on it, means it's ready to eat. But the store can't sell it because people want to keep them for Sundays. So whole boxes of bananas they would just throw. So we would collect those boxes. Apple has got some brown spots on it, whole box they throw. Some of the tomatoes, they grew beard, so they'll throw. We just take out those few that are gone and wash the other ones very carefully. They're a little bit soft, but eggplant has got some spot on it, we'll cut off the spot like that. It wasn't always like we're experiencing now. Those old devotees, they struggled very much to establish Krishna consciousness. So like that, we had no money, so they would just get all these things, they bring some fruit back, we make offering, and then somehow they would take these damaged vegetables back, and we'd, the cauliflower with the black all over it, just scrape off the black stuff on the cauliflower, and this way, we were living like that. So anyway, after the morning program, there was one shopping area just outside the university called the Hill. So we go to the Hill, have kirtan, and then they would go to every real estate agent and answer every ad in the newspaper looking for some place to rent to start a temple. Now this was September, and that means September in America means school starts. It came in the newspaper that there was 600 students looking for off-campus housing, looking for some place to rent. So we're in competition with 600 students. It's 1969. Nobody knows what a Hare Krishna is. We look weird. And we're competing with 600 very, ordinary-looking American students. So they would go off and they gave me a handful of Bhakti Godheads, and I would wander onto the campus until I found there was a little lake with a little wooden bridge over it and some little trees, a little Japanese maple tree there with reddish leaves and like this. I didn't know anything about Krishna consciousness, but it looked like a Buddhist type of place. So I thought, all right, I would sell my Bhakti Godheads here. So I became the troll of the bridge. You have this word also in Swiss? Some strange character who's under the bridge and you can't get across, Huh? What do you say?
Troll, no?
Troll. And we must have borrowed this word from Germany. So I was the troll. Nobody gets across this bridge without a Bhakti Godhead. And I had my whole Sankirtan line, and it ended that we're going to have Sunday feast and all these things, but we need a place. If you know of any place for rent, please tell us. So one day somebody told me, I heard there's a place on Concord Street. So I went back in the evening and I told all the devotees, somebody told me there's a place on Concord Street. And they looked at me and said, where's Concord Street? Now I was just a, young person, hippie with hair down to about here like this. And they just sort of looked at me out of the corner of the eye and said, I don't know. Didn't ask. They looked at me out of the corner of their eye, spaced out hippie. Hopeless case. So what's the address? I forgot to ask. They just looked at me. So then the next day, somebody told me, I heard there's a place on Congress Street. I came back and I said, somebody told me there's a place on Congress Street. Where's Congress Street? I don't know, I forgot to ask. Again, they looked at me in the corner of their eye, hopelessly. What's the address? I didn't ask. Hopeless. So the next day, some big football jock came. Now these type of people, they never take Bhakti Godheads, they never stop. But somehow this guy stopped. He listened to everything I had to say. He said, I heard there's a place on Concord Street. Now I wasn't going to have the devotees looking at me at the corner of their eye. So I said, where's Concord Street? He said, I don't know, maybe you could ask at a gas station. Because in the old days in America, I'm sure here also, the gas station used to be run by, it was a mom and pop operation, If you wanted to know anything in any city, you just went to the gas station, they knew everybody in town, and they tell you all the directions, they tell you where the best place to buy anything, they knew everything. Now they're all self-service, and there's just some kid, he's from the other side of the town, actually he's from India. He doesn't know anything about the town. And he's behind bulletproof glass, and if you probably ask him a question, he pushed the alarm. For those days was a different time, you wanted to know something, you went to the gas station. I said, boy, why didn't I think of that? And I said, well, what's the address? I don't know, but if it's for rent, there must be a sign out front, right? Oh God, why didn't I think of that? So I went back and I told the devotees, this is very auspicious. This is third time. Very auspicious. Because I learned in very short time that there's only about 4 adjectives in Krishna consciousness. Auspicious, blissful, ecstatic, and nice. Now, In America, when we had grammar class, the first thing they drilled into is don't use the word nice. It doesn't mean anything, you know. Nice, what's nice? They drilled into this, don't use the word nice. But when Prabhupada said that's nice, then you knew what it meant. So there's only 4 adjectives. So I said, all right, this is 3rd time, very auspicious. Somebody told me there's a place on Concord Street. So they looked at me and said, where's Concord Street? He didn't know. He said, we could ask at a gas station. What's the address? He didn't know, but there must be a sign out front, right? If it's for rent. So now they've been to every ad, they've been to every real estate agent, they have to listen to me. So we went to the gas station. The guy said, Concord Street's this funny street. It doesn't cross Broadway. Because everything crosses Broadway. He said, you have to go to Sunset Street, you go up 2 blocks, then you go over 1 street, and then there's this 5-block long street called Concord Street. So we drove up, we went over and we found Concord Street, we drove up and down, we didn't see a single house with a sign out front, but we did see a house that was empty. And we saw some lady was pushing her little child in a stroller, so we stopped her and she asked her if she knew anything about it. She said, I don't know if it's for rent or not, but the landlord lives on the corner. So we drove up and they left me in the car because I had hair all over the place. And Bhavananda, he was wearing yogi pants and he had this is 1969, this was a new thing, he had a turtleneck pullover that had a zipper on the side, you know. It was from France. The Bhavananda, he was, along with being a filmmaker, he was also a fashion designer. When I went on Sankirtan with him, he said, see that skirt? I designed that skirt. See that blouse? I designed that blouse. See that shirt? I designed that. It was very far out to go. So nobody else in America had this turtleneck pullover with a zipper on the side. This is something new, you know. So anyway, he had his gogi pants. His wife Palika was in a sari, and they went in. So I was left there in the truck, and I was praying to Krishna that please let us get this. We looked everywhere. Please let us get this. Then I remember the devotee said, you can't go to Krishna directly. You got to go through Radharani. So then I started praying to Radharani. Then I remember the devotee said, you can't go to Radharani directly. You have to go through Lord Chaitanya. So then I started praying to Lord Chaitanya. Then I remember, you can't go through Lord Chaitanya directly. You got to go through Lord Nityananda. So then I prayed to Lord Nityananda. Then I remember, you can't go to Lord Nityananda directly. You have to go to Prabhupada. So then I was praying to Prabhupada, you know, please let us get this place. And I remember them talking about somebody named Narn Muni. So I threw him in. And then there was these 2 guys, Jai Vijay. So all right. So anyway, this is the point. We don't go directly. We go through Guru and Vaishnava and Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Radharani, then we come to Krishna. So anyway, they came out and the guy rented the house to us. When we moved in, the landlord next door said, you have somebody up there. Because not less than 100 people came all summer long to rent that house and he refused. And you guys look weird and he rented it to you. What had happened, he was all-rounder, you know. He was carpenter, electrician, plumber, painter, you know, floor polisher, you name it, he was it. So he worked for a company that did restorations. Now he was planning to retire. Then he was going to divide this house up into apartments and rent it out to the students. But since he was a mudha, now I don't know if they do it here, but in America we used to put a carrot on the end of a stick, and that ass, he would go running after that carrot all day long. So they put a bigger carrot on the end of the stick. They offered him a raise, not to retire. So just that night he decided he was going to accept their raise. That meant he didn't have time to divide it up into apartments. So better just to rent the whole thing out. And just that moment, Bhavananda Palika walked in and he rented the house to us. So that was our first temple in Boulder, 623 Congress Street. I still remember the address. We made lots of devotees, had lots of fun there. So anyway, now we got mercy of Vaishnava, and we got mercy of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, then we can go to Braj. So we have beautiful little Brijvasa song that will take us straight to Braj. And this is also the part that comes again and again is very simple to learn. Shri Radhe Vrajajana Mana Sukhakari Radhe Shyam Shama Shyam Shri Radhe Vrajajana Mana Sukhakari Radhe Shyam Shama Shyam. So Brajajan, just like we're all Bhaktajan, huh? Brajajan means the Brajavasis. Brajajana Man. Man means the heart. Brajajana Mana Sukhakari. We know Sukh, happiness. Huh? So, who delights the hearts of the Brajavasis? Radhe Shyam, Shama Shyam. Huh? Huh? Very simple. Shri Radhe Vrajajana Mana Sukhakari Radhe Shyam Shama Shyam Shri Radhe Vrajajana Mana Sukhakari Radhe Shyam Shama Shyam Shri Radhe Vrajajana Mana Sukhakari Radhe Shyam Shama Shyam Shri Radhe Vrajajana Mana Sukhakari Radhe Shyam Shama Shyam. Mokuttama Jana Gita Kundala Kale Vajanti Mara. Mokuttama Jana Gita Kundala Kale Vajanti Mara. Chalanandupura Rasasara Radhe Shyam Shama Shyam Chalanandupura Rasasara Radhe Shyam Shama Shyam. Oh Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Vraja Jana Mana Sukha Kali Radhesham Shama Sham. So I was thinking, seeing all these mountains, that we would talk about the king of the mountains. Hello, Sikiraj Maharaj Ki Jai. And we see him somewhere sitting. Oh, there he is. He's sitting here on our altar. So, one time, Krishna, he saw Nanda Maharaj and all the Vrishpasis, they were preparing for some yajna. So he came there and he asked his father that what type of yajna is this? What is the result? Is this some regular performance? Is this according to the scripture? Is this just some occasional thing? That some local tradition? He began to ask all these questions. So Nanda Maharaj, he was very busy, so he didn't answer anything. So Krishna said that, my dear father, that Baba, from unknown persons we may keep things secret, but from family members we never keep secrets. And he began to explain all the intricacies of yajna so that Nanda Maharaj understood that he knew what he was talking about. So Nanda Maharaj explained that, Lala, we are cowherds and we depend on the rains for grains and for grass for our cows. So this is a traditional performance to please Lord Indra, who supplies the rain. So then, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he began to speak atheist philosophy. God is preaching atheism. That what is the use? Rain is coming anyway. Just see, it rains on the ocean where there's no need of water. It rains on the rock, the rain is falling on the rocks, it's falling everywhere, you just do your work. No need to pray to Indra or anybody else. Rain is just coming automatically. And he gave so many arguments like that. And then finally he told Nanda Maharaj that, Baba, our relationship is with Govardhan Hill. He's supplying water, because previously, now with our material eyes we don't see, but there was beautiful streams cascading down the sides of Govardhan Hill. And little pools of cool, crystal clear water to drink. Just like here, we're getting nice, cool, crystal clear water to drink. And nice grasses for the cows. So we should just worship Govardhan Hill. So then Baba said, Lala, we'll do a separate sacrifice, now let us do this sacrifice. And Lala said, but Baba, it took you a long time to gather all this ghee and grains and everything. Better we just take all these preparations and use it to worship Indra. Worship Govardhan Hill. Anyway, anyhow, Krishna convinced Nanda Maharaj. So then he told that you have to make puris and rasgullas and gulab jamans and halava and sweet rice, all things, paneer sabji, all things with lots of milk products in them. Krishna is very fond of the cows. And pakoras and kachoris and samosas and all types of nice things Krishna told that they have to make. So then they got all their Brahmins together and they began to cook this big wonderful feast. And they made mountains and mountains of baskets of puris and mountains of pots of paneer sabji and mountains of pots of halava and sweet rice. In fact, they just filled up lakes with sweet rice and nectar, and they had mountains of laddus and mountains of pakoras and mountains of samosas. It's like we heard, this is called Anukut. It's like you heard, maybe one mountain is there, Chitrakut, where Ram had his pastime. So Kut means mountain, we know Anna means grain. Anukut, mountains and mountains of grains. So they performed the first Anukut ceremony. All these wonderful things. And Krishna told that if you don't make all of these things, then there's many snakes that live at Govardhan Hill. And if you don't perform this worship, then like I have prescribed it, then those snakes will bite you. One time we were doing Govardhan Prikam, we saw those little Vrishpasi boys running along the side of the hill, and they were calling, come, come. And we went, and we saw there was a big black cobra. He was just trying to run away from those boys, and then zoop, he went into a hole in the ground. So I guess because we did Govardhan Puja, he didn't come out and bite us. He ran away and hid in his hole. So, then the Brishbasis had made this big bog offering. Then suddenly, this huge form of Krishna appeared on top of the hill. And he saw this bog, his eyes became very big. Then Govardhan made like an asan and he sat down. And Krishna said, just see how Govardhan has assumed this huge form to accept our offerings. Did Indra ever come and accept your offerings? Huh? Just see. Doesn't used to say, we never came. Just see how Govardhan has accepted this form. And then that little Krishna, he bowed down to the big Krishna. He and Balaram, they bowed down to that big Krishna, and all the Brishbasis, they also bowed down to that big Krishna. Now he just looked, all of these things, he began to eat everything. And because he's a little boy, he doesn't know what is left or right hand. With both, there's so much, he began to eat with both hands. Suddenly he manifested hundreds of right hands and hundreds of left hands. Within a few minutes, bloop, 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 everything was finished. Then in true Brishbasi fashion, he began to cry. Aniyor, Aniyor, give me more, give me more. Huh? So like those who've been to Braj, you know, you give the little kid 10 rupees and he wants 20. You give him 20, he wants 50. You give him 50, he wants 100. If you give him 100, he wants 500. If you give him 500, he wants 1,000. There's no end. So yet the charity Shreshtas, they're following their leader. So all the cowherd men said, but Prabhu, there's nothing left. Everything we had, we cooked and offered. You please be satisfied. Aniyor, Aniyor, give me more, give me more. And then Nanda Baba himself came and said, but there's nothing else left. Everything we had, we offered. Aniyor, Aniyor, give me more, give me more. And then Krishna came there and he shrugged his shoulders. He said, but there's nothing left. You please be satisfied. Aniyor, Aniyor, give me more, give me more. Then some Brahmins came and they gave Krishna some nice Tulsi manjaris. So Krishna offered those Tulsi manjaris to that big Krishna on top of the hill. He took those Tulsi manjaris, he popped them in his mouth, he said, Triptosmi, Triptosmi, now I'm fully satisfied. Sometimes in the recordings you can hear Prabhupada say, now I'm fully satisfied. And when he was fully satisfied, then all of a sudden all those mountains of puris and pakoras and samosas and all those mountains of laddus and mountains of pots of sweet rice and all those gulab jamans and rasgullas and lakes of sweet rice and nectar, everything remanifested itself. And then all the Brishbasis, they had wonderful feasts distributing prasadam to everyone. Prabhupada said even to the dogs and dog eaters they distributed prasadam. And even they enjoyed throwing it, even if it fell on the ground. Prabhupada said this is a proof that prasadam is pure. Even if it fell on the ground, they picked it up and ate it with great relish. So that village where this pastime happened, even today it is still known as Aniyor. Just before you get to Govindakund, there's a place called Aniyor, even today. So then, they, after their big feast, then they, keeping the cows with them, they all circumambulated Govardhan Hill. They performed beautiful celebration of circumambulating Govardhan Hill, singing beautiful Brishbasi songs. Then Indra realized that his sacrifice was stopped. And he became very upset. And he began to insult Krishna in so many ways. But by the grace of Goddess Saraswati, all his insults became praise. He said that this Krishna is a very talkative fellow. These Brishbasis are foolish to listen to this talkative fellow. But if you look at the Sanskrit from another direction, it means that whatever he speaks will always be talked about. Just like Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago. And we can go to any Gurukul boy, even if he's sound asleep, what is that verse in the second chapter? And they will immediately, in their sleep, they'll say, Krishna spoke these words 5,000 years ago, we're still speaking them. He said, we don't even know what caste he belongs. He doesn't have any caste. Some people say he's a cowherd, some people say he's Kshatriya, we don't even know what caste he is. But if we look at the Sanskrit from another way, we can understand that it means that Krishna is above all the castes. He's above all these things. And he said he's the lowest of all men. If we look at the Sanskrit from another way, it means that everybody else goes down before him. So in this way, by Goddess Saraswati's grace, whatever insult Indra gave was actually praised. Then he called for the Sambardika cloud. Prabhupada said when there's need of devastation, then the Sambardika cloud comes. There's need of devastation by water, then we called it the Sambardika cloud. And he said, go there to Braj and pour down torrents of rain and destroy all of these Brishbasis along with their cows. And that cloud looked really worried. But Indra said, no, I'm coming behind riding on my Airavata. So then suddenly in Braj this cold wind began to blow. And suddenly there was black clouds everywhere. And rain began to come. And cold wind and pieces of ice were falling. And it was just torrents and torrents of rain. In Hindi we say Musaldhara, just like clubs that is coming down. In English we say raining cats and dogs. I don't know what you say in Switzerland, but anyway.
Raining cats.
You say the same thing, okay. So just pouring down rain, and so much rain nobody could see what is high place and what is low place. Everything was covered with water. Then everybody, when there's trouble, all the Brishbasis, they don't know anything, they all ran to Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Mahabaho. Mahabaho means with the strong arms. Please protect us. So Krishna understood this was Lord Indra, so to teach him a lesson, he told all the Brishbasis, don't worry. And he went over and with his left hand, usually if we have to do a heavy thing, then we'll use our right hand. But Krishna with his left hand, he lifted up the hill of Govardhan. And he invited all the Brishbasis to come underneath with their cows. So all the Brishbasis came underneath with their cows. Now Sanatana Goswami describes in his commentary on these verses, he said Krishna, he lifted the hill with his left hand, not with his little finger. It wasn't until Mother Yasoda was looking with big eyes and her heart was pounding, then Krishna, he put it onto his little finger. He said, look Ma, it's no problem. Just like when we're learning to ride the bike, Mother's in the kitchen, she's looking out the window, and we're riding down the street, look Ma, no hands. He just put it on his little pinky like this. He said, Giriraj, he's actually staying there by his own power. If he wants, he'll just fly around and do a loop-de-loop if he wants. And then Madhav chirped up, he said, actually, it is due to my Brahminical prowess. I have chanted so many mantras. He's staying there by my Brahminical mantras. And all the cowherd boys, they also put their sticks. And even there was one cowherd boy, he's called Lota Baba. Because that stick that the cowherd boys have, that's called Lati. But he's got a great big fat one, so it's called Lota. So he was holding the hill with his Lota. And he was singing, everybody thinks that Lala's holding up the hill. Actually, it's my Lota that's holding up the hill. So Krishna's in everyone's heart, he knows what you're thinking. So he knew what Lota Baba was thinking, so he let the hill down a little bit. Then Lota Baba was just thinking, no, whoa, actually Krishna, he's holding the hill. Then Krishna put it back up. So this was actually a special mercy in all the Brishbasis. Krishna made this pastime just to show mercy to the Brishbasis. Because now, for 7 days and 7 nights, everybody got to see the beautiful Mukha Chandra, moon-like face of Krishna, day and night. Because ordinarily, in the morning, Nanda Baba and Yasoda, they see Krishna, they wake him up and getting dressed, and all the servants. Then he goes out for herding the cows, the cowherd boys, he goes through the village, everybody in the village sees him. Then when he comes back, then he's with the cowherd boys all day, so the cowherd boys see him. Then he comes back through the village in the evening, and everybody gets to see him. Then he's inside the house, only Nanda and Yasoda and the closest Socha see him. Then at night he sneaks out, he's with the gopis all night. But nobody's with him all the time. So Krishna invented this pastime just to show mercy to the Brishbasis. Now 24 hours a day and night, they were just seeing the moon-like face of Krishna. And they didn't feel any hunger, they didn't feel any thirst, they didn't feel any tired, they didn't feel any type of inconvenience whatsoever. They were just drinking the nectar of Krishna's moon-like face. Sometimes Mother Yasoda, she got worried. She was massaging Lala's arm, and she's telling Lala, "You sure you don't want something to eat, Lala?" It's okay, Ma, there's no problem. You don't want some butter, Lala? And, no, it's all right, Bhaiya. And Mother Mangal said, "Wait a minute, you speak for yourself. Hey, bring some of that butter." In this way, finally Indra arrived on the scene. He saw what was going on. He went, "Oops." Then he realized his mistake. He told that Samvardika cloud, "Get out of here quick. Make yourself scarce," you know. So suddenly all the clouds went away, the rain stopped, the wind stopped blowing, the sun came out shining. Then when Krishna saw that everything was clear, oh, an amazing thing, Jiva Goswami in his Nanda Vrindavan Champu and Kavi Karnapur in his Ananda Vrindavan Champu, they all described underneath the hill there was beautiful parks and lakes filled with lotus flower and palatial buildings and so many wonderful things. There was a whole other place underneath the hill. The Brishvasis were totally astonished. They were all amazed. And Krishna, when he saw that it was clear, he invited everyone to come outside. And they all came outside, and he replaced the hill back on its original spot. And from that day, he became known as Giridhari. Oh, Giridhara ki jai! So all the Brishvasis were very happy. They were congratulating Krishna for saving them from the wrath of Indra. Meanwhile, Indra, he went up to Indraloka. And he was just sitting on his throne and he was looking very worried. He's very worried. He doesn't talk. He doesn't come home to eat. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't go to sleep. So Mother Sachi, she became very worried. Because there's nothing that drives the woman more crazy is when the man becomes quiet. And there's nothing that drives the man more crazy when the woman doesn't stop talking. Now we'll give social workshop, huh? Extra credit here. Actually, when women have problems, they talk about them. And it's a scientifically proved fact that when they talk about their problems, certain hormones are produced and they feel happy. So, but a man, when he has a problem, he wants a solution. If I come to Keshavacharya, please get the router working, then he'll tell me what's wrong, or is it working, or he'll give me a solution. But when the woman talks about her problem, and the man is sitting there, even he doesn't know, there's no solution to that problem. The global Kani's melting, what can he do? There's nothing he can do about it. He doesn't know, wow, what am I supposed to do now? She doesn't want a solution. Whatever you do, don't ever say, it's not that bad. Now you got a fight on your hands. She feels bad, and you told her she has no right to feel bad. And whatever you do, don't give her a solution. She doesn't want to, she just wants you to listen, Because if you just listen to her, then she'll talk herself out, and then she'll feel happy, and she'll love you like anything. But if you give a solution, then again you got to fight. You're not listening to me. What do you mean? I just gave you a solution. But you're not listening to me. I just gave you the solution. They don't want a solution. But when a man has a problem, he becomes quiet. He's a man. He can't go to his wife to solve his problem. He's got to solve it himself. But women are intuitive. They know he has a problem. He's not talking about it. He doesn't trust me. So then they come and they bug him like anything. Now in the southwest of America, we have a tribe called the Navajo Indians. When the young girl gets married, the old ladies tell her that when he goes inside the cave, don't follow him. There's a fire-breathing dragon that will come out. So this is a trick you should learn. When he becomes quiet, don't bother him. That fire-breathing dragon will come out. Now, if you wonder, if it's already too late, you wonder what went wrong, now you know. If you're just starting, you can learn something. When she talks, just listen. She doesn't want a solution. When he's quiet, don't bother him. Then your married life will be very happy. So anyway, Mother Sachi, she's very wise. She knows, I can't, mood kharab ho gaya, I better not go. He's in bad mood, I better not go there. So she went to Brihaspati. Now if another man goes there, that's another thing, especially Guru. So she told Brihaspati, I don't know, he's not talking to me, he doesn't eat, he doesn't sleep, he doesn't come home, I don't know what's the matter. So then Brihaspati went there. And when Brihaspati heard what happened, he said, boy, you really blew it. Now Krishna won't even look at you from the corner of 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 his eye. Best thing you do is you get a devotee to intercede on your behalf. This is our position. We're big offenders. We can't go directly to Krishna. But if we have somebody, pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada go on our behalf, just like we see in Prabhupada's letters, he's always praying, writes that I'm praying to Krishna that you young boys and girls advance in Krishna consciousness. So he said, best thing is you get this Surbi cow from the Golok. She's a devotee and she's a cow. Krishna likes devotees and cows. So then Indra, he got this Surbi and he went down to the Braj to beg forgiveness from Krishna. Meanwhile, Krishna, he was taking all his cows and cowherd boys all around Govardhan Hill, surveying what the damage was. Just like we see whenever there's a big earthquake or flood and the Prime Minister, the President, he flies in his special helicopter and sees what's going on like that. So Yada Chardi Srestas, they're all following the great man. Whatever Krishna did, they're all following. So he was doing his damage survey. And they were coming with all the cows. Now, Indra came on this Airavata. Now Airavata is a huge elephant. Not only huge, but not just one trunk. He's got many, many, many trunks. And all the cows, they took one look at this elephant. Just like sometimes for Prabhupada's disappearance day, we used to have procession around Vrindavan. Sometimes we got elephant. And coming behind, we have the bullock cart filled with halava prasadam. Now you see bulls, they just go forward. But when everything's all strung out, it's all right. But when we're getting ready to go, the bull would come from the Goshala, take one look at this elephant, and his eyes, cow's eyes or bull's eyes are very big. They just go, and then he starts going backwards. And his ears go, boop. They're always hanging like, boop. So all the cows, they took one look at this elephant, and all their ears went, boop. And their eyes, so beautiful eyes, got very big. And they all began to run. Now, have you ever seen a cow run? You all live in big cities like Zurich, you never see cows, except out here. But I'll tell you, when the cows run, first thing they do is they put their tail up in the sky like a warning flag to all the other cows. And then they kick backwards as they run. Bing, bing, bing. They run at a big funny way. So all the cows put their ears went like this, their tails went like this, and they all, kicking backwards, they all ran this way and that way. And all the cowherd boys ran after them. So meanwhile, Indra, the king of heaven, he came and he fell flat on the dust of Braj with his crown and everything and paid obeisances to Krishna. Krishna walked by and didn't even look at him from the corner of the corner of the corner of the corner of his eye. Indra thought, whoops, I'm in big trouble. So he called Surbi, quick, go talk to him. So there's a very beautiful place on the other side of the hill from Govindakund. There's a place called Surbikund, where all our offenses are forgiven. And Surbi came there, he said, actually, Indra's your devotee, he became a little puffed up, and you don't like pride in your devotees, so you taught him a lesson, now he's sorry. Just like the parents, the children do so many rascal things, but still they always love the children. You should just forgive him. He's a devotee. You're always showing mercy to your devotees. So because Surbi intervened on behalf of Indra, then Krishna decided to forgive him. Then they came back on the other side of the hill, and Airavata, he went up and he got water from the Akash Ganga, not this Ganga that flows down here where sinful people like you and me are bathing. So he went to that Akash Ganga that flows in the heavenly planets, and he brought water from the Akash Ganga. He began to perform Abhishek of Krishna. And Surabhi, just from her udder, she began to pour milk, and they performed this beautiful Abhishek ceremony of Krishna. then all the demigods began to appear. Lord Brahma came, Lord Shiva came, the Saptarishis came, all the Gandharvas, and Gandharvas were singing very beautiful, the Kinnaras were playing all their different types of instruments, all the Apsaras came, they were trained up by Indraduna Maharaj, so they were all dancing very beautifully. A big festival was going on. And after the Abhishek, then they offered Krishna new clothes. And then Indra, he took a very beautiful crown and he crowned Krishna as Govinda. Till that time he was known as Gopal. From this time he became known as Govinda. Now Jiva Goswami explains the meaning. Just like you may have heard the word Narendra. Just like end of Loy Bazaar, there's Narendra's shop, with Russian signs even. So Nar, we know, means human being, like Narahari. Nar means human, and Indra. The Indra amongst the human beings, just as Indra is the king of all the demigods, the Indra amongst the human beings means the king. Yogendra, he's the greatest, he's the king of all the yogis. Mahendra, like that. So Govinda means Krishna is the king of the cows. What is the significance? That all the 33 crore demigods, they live within the body of the cow. If Krishna becomes king of the cows, he becomes king of Indra and all the demigods automatically. So they crowned Krishna as Govinda. Then they did Artik. And they had a gold, solid gold. We just had this brass one. They had solid gold deep with rubies and diamonds in it. And peacock fans with gold handle with pearls. Chamara wisps made of solid silver with Indranila jewels, sapphires embedded in it, and emeralds, like this. All this incredible conch shells covered with gold and silver and rubies. And so much opulent. And they were singing the Purusa Sukta prayers, with perfect, they had all their Brahmin priests there singing with perfect rhyme and meter. Sahasrasya Purusa, they were singing like this. And Krishna was sitting there accepting their arti. Then after it was over, they all bowed down and they left. Meanwhile, all the cowherd boys came back and they saw Krishna sitting there and they saw all this gold and silver and ruby and pearl and Indranila and all these incredible artik paraphernalia sitting there. So they just picked it up and they began to do artik to Krishna, just in play. And they weren't even chanting Vedic mantras, not even with perfect rhyme and meter. And Brishbasis, they're not like Bengalis. Bengalis all have very beautiful voices. But Brishbasis, they can't carry a tune at all. If you ever go to the Ras Lilas, they're always singing off tune, completely. So they were just singing their little Brishbasi songs. Aroti Kunja Bihari Ki Sri Giridhari Krishna Murari Ki Aroti Kunja Bihari Ki Sri Giridhari Krishna Murari Ki. Like that. And Krishna was just laughing and laughing. And all the demigods were up in the clouds and they looked down and they saw, we don't even have a pinch of love for Lala like these Brishbasis. He's actually accepting their arti. He was just officially accepting ours. Just like as soon as here they don't build bridges, they build tunnels. Tunnels. So when they want to inaugurate the new tunnel, then the mayor comes, he smiles for all the cameras, he cuts the ribbon. He must be rather up here in Flumserberg, enjoying himself, but he has to worry about boats, so he has to come there and he smiles. It's all official, there's no love. So that was just official. The Krishna is actually accepting the artik of these Brishbasis. Now, Nanda Maharaj, he heard something funny is going on the side of Govardhan Hill. It was gold and silver and ruby and diamond. So he came there with all the older Brishbasis. And they came there, and all the cowherd boys looked up, and Baba said, where you got all this gold and silver and diamond and ruby and pearl? Baba, we just found it. Oh, right, you just found all this. Just like the father comes home at night, there's a big mess from one end of the house to the other. Who made this mess? Just happened. Yeah, right, it just happened. Then Madhu Mangal piped up. He said, Baba, Baba, they don't know what happened because Baba, you won't believe it, Baba. I swear it's true, Baba. I crossed my heart, hope to die. I swear it's true. This elephant came. This guy came riding an elephant, Baba. I never saw an elephant like this, Baba. So huge, not just one trunk, many trunks, and all the cows took one look and they all ran away and everybody ran after them. But you know, Baba, I'm lame, I can't run, so I was sitting here, so I saw everything. They don't know what happened, Baba, I saw everything. Baba, this guy who was riding on that elephant, he got down. Swear to God, Baba, this guy had eyes all over his whole body, Baba. Then he bowed down and Lala didn't even look at him, Baba. Then this cow came, Baba. I never saw a cow like that, Baba. And this cow began to speak, Baba. I swear it's true, he was speaking. And then Krishna smiled at that fellow with the eyes, you know, and they came over here, and that elephant came back, and he brought this water, so wonderful water, Baba. And the cow they began to bathe Lala, the cow was bathing, Baba. And then, Baba, all these strange people came. Crossed my heart, hope to die. This guy came with 4 heads, Baba. And this other guy came with 5 heads, Baba. This big snake on his neck, you know. Then all these guys began to sing, and there was these guys playing musical instruments. And Baba, then these girls came. I never saw girls like that, Baba. And they were all dancing, Baba. And then they did this, then this guy put this big crown, and then they began to do this artik. And then Baba, they all left, and then they came back, and we just found it all here. I crossed my heart up to die. It's true, Baba. Baba. I'm telling you the truth, Baba. I saw everything. They didn't see, Baba. I saw everything. Then a big voice from the sky came, Baba, now you crown Krishna as Govinda. Because that was the official crowning. Now the real one is there. When the Brishbasis crowned Krishna. So Nanda Baba, he crowned Krishna as Govinda. Before he was known as Gopal, from that day he became known as Govinda. And that kund where all the Abhishek water collected, that became known as Govinda Kund. And anyone who takes bath in that Govinda Kund, he gets Govinda Prem. Oh, Giraj Maharaj ki Giraj Dharna ki So being here in these mountains, I was just inspired to talk about Giraj tonight. I think we've been a little over time now, but anyway. Hare
It's not possible. Just on time.
So we'll do our Brev's theme song and we'll end here. Now this is dancing music, so you can all stand up. Jai Jai Radhe, Jai Jai Shyam. because some people that weren't here last night, so we'll explain. You know Gopi, but do you know Gwal? Just like the person who drives the rickshaw, he's the rickshaw wala. Who makes the sweets, he's the sweet wala, mithai wala. Who takes care of the the cows, he's the go wala. Go wala, go wala, go wala, go wala, gwal. Jai Jai Gopi, Jai Jai Gwal, Jai Jai Sada, Sada means always. Jai Jai Sada, Bihari Lal. Always sing the glories of Bihari Lal. Jai Jai Gopi, Jai Jai Govinda gaoge. So you all know Radha Krishna Guna gao. Gao is imperative tense. Sing Radha Krishna. But this is future conditional. If you will sing Govinda Govinda. Govinda Govinda gaoge. Prema padarata paoge. You know Syanamrita pao. So you will taste paoge. You will taste that thing called prem. Govinda Govinda. We're going from kun to kun. In Hindi we like to repeat everything. Thodi thodi Hindi aati hai. Kunda kunda me charnamrita le, and all the kuns take charnamrit. Apana means your very own. Jivan? Jivan means? Life. Apana jivana safala. Like patram pusam palam. Pal means fruit. Sa fal, with fruit. Fruitful. Successful. Apana jivana safala kare. Kunda kunda me jana Holy Dham, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.